Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're unpacking a truly fascinating blueprint that's been distilled from 30 years of hard-won, contrarian business secrets. We're talking 19 companies built and 78 startups invested in. So if you're looking for something that actually matches the messy, real-world reality of entrepreneurship, rather than just the same recycled corporate advice, you are in the right place.
Don't worry, we've organized this massive amount of knowledge into a totally digestible roadmap. We're going to cover 5 core pillars. 1. Finding your true purpose. 2. Mind maps over business plans. 3. Sell sizzle, not the steak. 4. The right way to grow. And 5. The 7 and 8 rule. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Finding Your True Purpose, Mindset and Mission.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between two entirely different ways of operating. We're all taught this traditional give-and-take mentality in school, right? It's purely transactional. But true lasting success actually comes from a tribal give-without-take philosophy. Think about it. Early human tribes of like 5,000 people, they survived by helping each other out, not by charging for every little favor. If you operate your business like a tribe and just focus on solving real problems for people without immediately asking for something in return, you build this incredible loyalty that eventually monetizes itself organically.
And that brings us to a really powerful realization. You will be managing purpose, not people. See, if you build a company strictly for profit, everyone working for you is just going to want more money, and every client is just going to want to pay you less. It's an endless grind. But if you install a strong, genuine purpose at the core of what you do, management basically becomes effortless. You manage the purpose, and the people literally manage themselves.
So, when you're looking for a co-founder to share that purpose with, take a look at this, a true 50-50 equity split. You know, so many founders make the massive mistake of doing a 52-48 split just because they think they need to retain control. But actually, control is dictated by your shareholder agreements, not just your raw equity percentage. Doing a 52-48 split just creates instant resentment because your partner subconsciously thinks they only need to do 48% of the work. Go for a true 50-50 split to keep everyone fully invested and just protect your decision-making legally.
Moving right along to Section 2, Mind maps over business plans, staying fluid.
Let's be real, a traditional 20-page business plan is rigid and honestly kind of dead on arrival. It traps you in this generic corporate template. But a fluid, infinite mind map, that is completely cost-free and totally flexible. A rigid business plan can actually kill a company because founders stubbornly stick to the document even when the market is clearly changing right in front of them. A mind map keeps you nimble. It's like being a boxer in the ring. You're ready to evolve and dodge the punches as they come.
So how do you actually draw one of these things? The steps are beautifully simple. Step 1, you put your hobby, the thing you absolutely love doing, right in the center of the page. Step 2, build the immediate business around that. And then Step 3, branch out into the networks, the brands you could potentially work with, and the team members you might need. By starting with what you actually love, the revenue models and expansion opportunities just naturally reveal themselves as you map outward. It's like a giant puzzle putting itself together.
But as you execute that mind map, you've got to unlearn that classic A student mentality. Seriously? Aim for a D grade. I know it sounds crazy because in school, a D means failure. But in business, an A student is usually terrified of making mistakes, which means they take absolutely zero risks. If you can learn to love losing, embrace failure, and let your competitors massively underestimate you, you open yourself up to taking real calculated risks. Leaning into that fear is the absolute hackable formula for generating your own luck.
All right, on to Section 3, Sell sizzle, not the steak, marketing and traction.
When it comes to marketing, you've absolutely got to sell the sizzle, not the steak. Think about Steve Jobs. When Apple launched a new phone, Jobs didn't put 3,500 people in a room just to bore them with the technical specs of a microchip. That's the steak. Instead, he sold the sizzle. He sold the idea that this product was for game changers, for creative rebels. You have to sell the outcome and the whole philosophy behind your business, not just the mechanical features of what you built.
To actually sell that sizzle, there's a foolproof 3-step process you can use. Step 1, do they actually need you? Do your homework. Don't waste time pitching to people who fundamentally don't need your product. Step 2, do you actually like them? And do they like you? Look, if the mutual connection just isn't there, doing business together is going to be a total nightmare. Only when you've confirmed those first 2 steps do you move to Step 3, the deal. Deals just happen effortlessly when the need is real and the liking is mutual.
And this brilliantly illustrates the staircase philosophy for PR. The source material shares this incredible anecdote where a founder bought a totally random staircase at an auction in London for £26,000. Why on earth would they do that? To Newsjack. This bizarre purchase landed them on the front page of major news outlets globally. They literally added a dream doorbell to the bottom of the stairs for people to come and pitch ideas, and eventually they got Amazon's Ring to sponsor the whole thing organically. It just goes to show bizarre fun stunts can generate millions in free PR.
Which brings us to Section 4, the right way to grow, funding and leverage. Hold on a second. Before you go marching onto Shark Tank or pitching venture capitalists, pause and ask yourself a really crucial question. Do you actually need an investor? Taking on VC funding is not some guaranteed golden ticket to success. In fact, if you get the wrong investor, you've basically just hired yourself a brand new nightmare boss who's going to demand endless reports.
Because there are some completely contrarian, brilliant ways to fund your growth without ever touching traditional venture capital. Like, it's fascinating when you realize you can just pre-sell your product via crowdfunding platforms. Your own customers actually fund your manufacturing. Or what about client-funded expansion? Say you have a client who really wants you in the Middle East. Have them pay to open your office there. You can even offer equity to your top-tier team members in exchange for their investment. That way you get best-in-class talent who are literally invested in your success.
So the crucial point is, if you decide you absolutely must go after an angel investor, you have to use the angel hack. Never ever walk up to an investor and just ask for money. Instead, ask for their help and advice. Investors want to feel like they bring actual value to the table, not just a checkbook. By asking for their specific expertise, you build a genuine relationship and organically create FOMO, the fear of missing out. And honestly, that is exactly how you secure the funding.
Finally, we hit Section 5, the 7 and 8 rule, management and scaling. Let's move to and see how this builds into an incredible framework for management, the firing matrix. This visually solves that massive headache of managing a growing team. If you have employees who are ones and twos, it's super easy. You just fire them immediately, they're obviously a bad fit. If you have 9s and 10s, you keep them, you promote them, you give them equity because they're driving the business. But look at that bottom row, the 7s and 8s. These are the people who are just okay. They're actually the hardest people to manage. And ironically, you must fire them. Why? Because keeping them will slowly destroy your company.
Keeping those mediocre 7s and 8s proves a really harsh truth. Culture will eat strategy for breakfast every single time. Think about it. If your 9s and 10s are working incredibly hard, pushing the limits, but they look over and see the 7s and 8s just coasting by, making mistakes, and facing absolutely zero repercussions, your top performers are going to quit. Mediocrity tolerated is literally a culture destroyed.
Now, to stop relying on mediocre employees and truly scale, the founder has to evolve. In the early days, you're a generalist, right? You're doing the marketing, you're pitching clients, you're probably taking out the trash. But to go global and actually step away from the daily grind, you must build specialized systems. You have to replace your own generalist tendencies with actual experts, and eventually, maybe even hire a CEO who is far better at running a large company than you are.
And that leaves us with one final provocative question to think about. Are you building a business you want to sell or a brand you want to run forever? Never build a company just for the sake of selling it, because you might just get stuck running something you absolutely hate. Building a purpose-driven brand that you genuinely love is the ultimate contrarian cheat code for lifelong freedom. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to go sketch out your own mind map today.